Hello, everybody, and welcome into my latest live broadcast. It is the 10th. The 10th is the 10th of August, 2023. It's Thursday. My name is Kerry Holzman. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Today, I've got a mini PC review to do. This one's quite interesting, quite intriguing. The BMAX B6 Plus. They have a B6 Pro and a B6 this and a B6 that. So there's a lot of different models from BMAX that are very, very similar, but are spec'd out very differently. Just as we think they can't get any cheaper, they get a little bit cheaper. And the price on this one is quite interesting because when we look at the Amazon page for the B6 Plus, the one I've got right here, I go over here to my Amazon page and I turn on my window capture. That should work. Check this out. It shows it's $229.99, and it shows apply a $70 coupon. But here's the thing, and some people don't know this. There are products at Amazon that are priced cheaper if you're an Amazon Prime customer. So for example, if I pull up this same page as an Amazon Prime customer, then I see this price, $206.99, and then subtract the same $70 coupon, and now you're at $136.99. That's an incredible deal for what you're getting, because let's take a look at the specs. Let me go back over to the Amazon page here. Check this out. This is an i3. This is not a Celeron. This is not an N series processor. We're going a step above that. A lot of these mini PCs are going to be N processors with 8 gigs of RAM and 256 or 512 gig of storage. This is an i3. It's got Windows 11 Pro, of course, but instead of 8, it's got 12 gigs of DDR4. It's got a 512 gig NVMe SSD. It supports 3 displays at 4K at 60 Hertz. Now, the Wi-Fi is a bit older with Wi-Fi 5 and Bluetooth 4.2. The Wi-Fi and Bluetooth are all on the same module, so that module currently could be Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.3. However, it's about a step and a half back. Still, for the price, look at what you're getting here. We can take a look at some of the screenshots. They're not screenshots, but some of the marketing materials they're sharing here on the Amazon page. Now, despite it showing playing games, I would not consider this a gaming PC. And, maybe retro games. I don't know. You have to, depends on what it is you're trying to emulate. And 12 gigs, so that's 4 gigs more than you'd typically get in a system similar to this. And an i3, when do we ever see an i3? So Nick Poverman said it comes out to $145.02 after the discount and taxes in New Jersey, and he says it's a great deal. Yes, considering that Windows 11 Pro from Microsoft all by itself is $199.99. Let's see, let me turn that off and let me turn back on camera 1. There I am. All right, so that's what we're going to be looking at today. This box is taped closed. I have never opened this before, so we're going to do that live on camera, unscripted, all one take. Mark Gaines has now been a supporter of the channel for 15 months. Right on, Mark. Cheers, my friend. He says, hello, Kerry, and everyone in chat. Also, before the stream started, there was a contribution from, hold on, I got to pull it up on my screen, from Paul O'Brien, who contributes €2 and says, hello, Daddy and Mammy, where's my child support? Hey, that stopped when you were 18. The judge told you that. Paul O'Brien joining us from Ireland, I believe, and Mark Gaines joining us from Northern Ireland. Thanks, guys, for supporting the channel. Also, a quick shout out to our friend Buster in Scotland. Buster contributed an Amazon gift card and a couple of super thanks in a couple of videos that he's not been able to join us. He's doing well. He's just busy, and our thoughts go out to him, and always want to give him a shout out. There's our good friend Rick Lakes with a $10 super chat. Rick joins us from Minnesota. Thank you, Rick, as always. And let's see. Well, I think there was one I'm missing here, and I just wanted to verify. Sarge Tech sent an Amazon gift card just before the show started for $5. Thank you to Sarge Tech. All right, that should catch me up. Yeah, it's a crazy good deal. Richard Collins says hello. Dick Poverman said, I purchased the two 970 Evos you showed yesterday, got them before 7 p.m. last night. It's so nice having an Amazon warehouse so close to me. I ordered 5 of them. And that was one of the packages that arrived yesterday during the show. Gator contributes $2. Hey, thank you, Gator. Yeah, prices on solid state drives, crazy cheap. They've got the Western Digital SN850X, which is a Gen 4 2 terabyte drive for $99 over at Amazon and Newegg today. Crazy. I mean, I don't know. The Western Digital drive is much, much faster at up to 7,300 megabytes per second. So if you've got a Gen 4 motherboard, consider that Western Digital SN850X. In fact, I can pull it up here real quick, just to make sure it's still on sale. These sales, they sometimes can come and go very quickly. So let's just turn on the window capture again, and let's go back over to Amazon and do a quick search for Western Digital SN850X. And we're looking for the 2 terabyte. Uh-oh, maybe it's sold out. See all buying options. Oh, that's no deal. Here's another one over here for $112. Oh, wait a minute. There's a $12.81 coupon. There it is. So that one right there, that'll get you to $99 or $100. I'm not quite sure. $12.81 to get you to $100 even. Regardless, a really good deal on a really fast 2 terabyte drive from Western Digital. And I think Newegg's also matching that price right now. As of today, August 10th, 2023. Just so you know, there's a date stamp on these videos so you understand when you're watching something years old or brand spanking new and fresh. Okay, so get that out of the way. Okay, back over to camera 1. Go. Switch back over to my chat room so I can see you guys. All right, so let's unbox this bad boy and see what we got. We usually get i5s or Celerons. We don't see i3s too often, so you've seen a lot of mini PC reviews lately here. I suspect this is a fad, and I want to continue to review as many different varieties as possible, because we're going to look back on this, you know, like fidget spinners, I think. Eventually, I think there's going to be far fewer manufacturers, and the product will be more commonly known, be more of a household item that people are familiar with. Right now, people are seeing these for the very first time. Most people have never seen one in person yet. So as long as we have that sort of newness advantage, we'll just continue to evaluate them and show you what's possible. Different sizes, different colors, different performance models, different purposes, from HT PCs to get full gaming PCs and full desktop replacements. Okay, so BMAX. BMAX. There's my first time opening the BMAX. And on the inside, it kind of looks like that. Well, there's no kinda. It does look like this. And we've got a piece of foam here. And the computer's in a little baggie right here that has a little message. Well, looks like they've written us a Dear John letter. It's a lot. But there's just a little message here. They're trying to avoid upset customers or, you know, unnecessary support calls by getting some of the common issues that people misunderstand out of the way. My best wishes to be linked for customers to actually read that. The unit itself, very thin. We've got what looks like an olive drab or military green. Again, I will bring this up to the camera so you can see it up close. We've got some protective. There we go. Take that off. Protective plastic there over the lid. Very thin. We've got our two USB 3s and a USB Type-C, our power button. We've got a headphone microphone jack. Is that what that is? Yep. And then can't tell what that little, that reset there. What is that? Yeah, that's going to be a reset. So you would grab like a paper clip, straighten it out, and stick it in there if you had to reset this. Shouldn't have to ever use that unless you're doing something like trying to overclock it or something. All right, so that's the front. There's one side. There's the other side. Clearly see where the vents are. And then we come around the back, we can see our two USB, I'm sorry, our two HDMI ports and a single USB in the back. That's unusual. I'd like to have seen two back there. We've got our Ethernet port and our power barrel style power jack. And that's it. That's all she wrote. Now to open this up, it looks like we've got 4 screws on the bottom there. Remember, this is the B6 Plus. There are lots of different variations of B6. This is the B6 Plus. Okay, so if it can support 3 display outs at 4K at 60 hertz, there's 2 HDMI. Where's the third one, Carrie? The third one's going to come out of your USB Type-C here in the front. So yeah, you're going to have an ugly cable coming out the front. I don't know why they did it that way, but you can do it. All right, let's see what else we got in the box. We have a box in the box. And in there, we've got a few accessories. Power plug, got to have that. It doesn't say BMAX on it, so I would get a marker or a label maker and I would write on this with like a silver Sharpie, and I would write BMAX. In fact, I'm going to do that right now. A silver indelible permanent ink Sharpie marker. If it were white, I'd use a typical black Sharpie. These silver Sharpies are easily found pretty much anywhere that sells Sharpies has these. And I'm just going to write, I don't need the model number or anything. I'm just going to write, BMAX. Yeah, you know what? It doesn't look pretty, but it'll get the job done. The problem that we run into is people move things around. And if these two items should get separated, and then later they're reunited, if you don't have the right adapter, if you found this piece and now you're looking through a box of power adapters and you're just trying them to see which ones fit, that's a sure way to smoke both the power adapter and the unit. So I think it's critical that manufacturers label, put their name on their power adapters. So Sony will do this, and other manufacturers that are big manufacturers like HP and Dell will label their adapters. But these smaller manufacturers, I haven't seen them do it ever. So, you know, if you want it to look prettier, use a label maker. Trust me, you will thank me in the years ahead when you cannot find, or you're wondering which adapter is it, when the two get separated years from now. Get that out of the way now, and it's one less stress you'll have. They've given us what appears to be about a 5 or 6 foot standard US HDMI cable. We've got a very small VESA bracket here with screws, and that's if you want to mount this to the back of a monitor, or you could even potentially mount it onto the side of a desk or hang it on a wall. That's what these 2 screw holes right here are for. And let's put this back. See what the inside of this looks like. Let me grab my jeweler's drivers. Jeweler's tool set here. And I'm definitely going to need my glasses so I can see. Okay, these look like they're pretty close to the surface. Sometimes you got to go far down inside, and then you got to make sure your screwdriver's narrow enough. So one screw out of each corner. Exciting video, isn't it? It'll get better in a second. Just crack this bad boy open and see what's soldered down and what's upgradable. That's an awful good price. Okay, so the serial number, everything is written facing the back. I got to remember that. So when I put this back on, there is a small little tab right there that you can reach in for like a small flat blade screwdriver or some pick or something and pop that open like so. Okay, here we are. We're all opened up. Let's take a look-see what we got going on here. All right, well, a little of everything. We do have a socketable NVMe drive. We have another M.2 slot we can use that's only NVMe times 1. I think this is 1x. So I think that's saying that's the speed of it. Now, a lot of times the Wi-Fi controllers are located underneath the M.2. But if we look underneath this M.2, we can see the CMOS battery, but nothing else. The other M.2, we see the 2 wires, right? Because if an M.2 was right over this, it'd be covering up that. That's your Wi-Fi card, and unfortunately, it's soldered in there, so you cannot upgrade the Wi-Fi. Well, let me rephrase. You could upgrade the Wi-Fi if you go into the BIOS or go into Windows Device Manager and disable. You don't have to, but I would disable this one and then just pick a USB Wi-Fi adapter or Bluetooth adapter to plug in and have it on USB. But as far as like being able to open it and upgrade, that looks like a big fat no. That is soldered in, and I don't see any option for RAM being upgraded on this. And usually, if you don't see the RAM next to your M.2 or somewhere along the same plane, it's likely not underneath unless it's soldered down. So I'm going to imagine that the RAM is soldered down here and you cannot upgrade the RAM. This is an Ice Lake i3 1000NG4 according to the label inside. And that black and red wire is the coming off the CMOS battery that keeps your date and time when the system is off. So yeah, I'm going to say that looks like we likely have RAM soldered down. I'm going to take out these other 4 screws just to poke around the other side, but I fully expect everything on the other side is soldered down. But I have been wrong before. I mean, don't let that get out. Ruin my reputation of, being a robot. Now, I want to be careful when I remove the motherboard because the antennas are attached here, and I really don't want to remove them if I can avoid it. And a lot of times what holds these boards in is the case itself, the I/O ports poking through the holes. So a lot of times you have to bend the case back. This can be a real problem if the case were made of metal. Some people consider case is made of plastic to be of undesirable quality, but I would disagree. Unless they're using the metal as a large heat sink to keep everything cool, it just adds weight and inflexibility anytime you need to work on the system, or you have to figure out the clever way that you have to get the board out, since you're not going to be able to bend the case like I can here. Wow, that's in there good too. It's coming. You can see I'm bending it quite a bit to get this out of here. And I don't want to use too much force because I don't want to break those antennas off. Probably should have started at this side based on what I'm feeling. Okay, here we go. There's our other side of the board. That's our CPU there. Underneath that fan. And as for any sort of RAM modules, as expected, there's no sockets on this side, so there'd be no reason for you to ever go into this side of it. And in those two black squares, those are where our antennas terminate. And see if I can put this back in the other way around. Maybe put this end in first this time. See if that makes my life any easier. There we go. Ah. Oh, well, it turns out this back piece comes off. That would have made my life a lot easier, because now the motherboard has some play. There we go. So I can push the board in, make sure that it aligns with the holes for mounting the board. I can make sure the button's pressing. I'm not trapping any cables. In particular, as a concern of these Wi-Fi antenna wires, they are fairly delicate, so you want to take your time and go easy with them. So yeah, RAM is going to be soldered down. You cannot upgrade the RAM. That is fascinating how that comes out so much easier than the way I did it. Just pull it back. There it is. Then I can realign these wires as I seat it back down. Now that I know what I'm doing, put the back side in first. Then lower the unit and then push it forward towards the front. And if it's not moving, it's because you don't have it aligned. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. Then I'm going to take some screws and secure that main board back down into the case so it won't move around on me anymore. Making sure I'm pushing it all the way forward. And the holes that we are screwing these little screws into should be completely centered underneath the hole. It shouldn't be, you shouldn't see half of it or a quarter of it. You should see the entire hole if it's aligned properly. And if it's aligned properly, that means that it's in deep enough that you're not going to have any problem putting the back plate back on, that the I/O ports could be sticking out too far. And this just clicks in very, very easily. Way easier than bending the case around the way I did earlier. Then, of course, we can put our back cover back on, remembering that the writing faced the back of the unit. The pull tab towards, or the cutout for sticking like a flat blade driver in towards the front of the unit. So you can add more storage. That's pretty much all you're going to be able to upgrade on this. Anything else you'll have to do through USB. And quite frankly, you could do your storage through USB too. Planet Cryos with a $5 super chat says, worry-free, trouble-free, PK is here. Hello, Carrie and chat. Wishing everyone well from my home planet, while temporarily residing in upstate New York. Don't let the Supreme Commander know that you're letting people know not of this earth. Violation. Supreme Commander will not be happy with you. Ron Barnish says, did you find the lost screw for yesterday's Mini? I have not. I ended up, I did a clean install of Windows 11 on it. And, you know, put all the drivers back on. Put the 3 screws in that I had, because I had to clear the bench. And I've looked everywhere, and it's here somewhere. But it's not detrimental. I mean, you would never know a screw is missing. The entire case is sealed closed. But I'm sure it'll turn up. What are you going to do? You won't catch me doing that again. I will always make sure that I have the screws shaken out here on the counter before I walk it up to the camera again. Sometimes there are moments that reflect a permanent change moving forward, and that was a moment that you'd think I'd know better by now, but I can guarantee I know better now. I replicated taking a couple of the other screws and mimicking dropping them from the same approximate place I was standing in the same height. And almost immediately when I drop them, they disappear. So I found them, or I found the missing one, and one of the ones I dropped I can't find. I'm not sure which way it is. I think I found both ones I've dropped. And the other one, I don't know where else to look. It's a very, very tiny screw, and it's very difficult to see. But I've looked for it a half dozen times and moved some things around. I'm wondering if I got caught up on my pants or in my shoe, and then I ended up walking and kicking it. That has happened to me before. I was once taking off a shoe, and a screw was between the tongue of the shoe and the lace. How can you possibly do that on purpose? Either way, it's not a big deal, and it's going to be a giveaway machine, so I'm not worried about warranty. I am sure that screw will turn up, but I don't want to postpone shipping the computer to a selected recipient over a stupid screw that doesn't really matter, and it's hidden behind a rubber foot. The only time you're ever going to know that screw is missing is when you go to take it apart. All right, let's get this thing plugged in and turned on and see what it boots up like. Again, this has all been unboxed for the very first time live on camera here. So I have no idea what version of Windows we have. I know it's Windows 11 Pro, but I don't know as it's 21H2, 22H2. We can plug into either of these HDMI ports. I'm going to leave the network not plugged in at this time, so we can get through local accounts set up on Windows 11. And I'm going to plug the USB Wi-Fi, the USB dongle for the wireless keyboard and mouse share the same dongle. It's nice. So I'm going to go over here now to my HDMI input on the capture card, and we'll take camera 1 and we'll stick it in the corner. Just like that. Good enough. And 3, 2, 1, power on. See how long our first boot takes. Keeping in mind a first boot is typically a little bit longer than a regular boot. I see Kelly Stewart joining us. My friend Ron Hillier's in the chat room. Welcome in, gentlemen. OG Gaming and Steve Mercure joining us, as well as Douglas Burchell. And Linda says at least the rubber feet on the BMAX have holes in them so you can get to the screws. Amen, brother. For sure. You know I appreciate that. Starchstick said that's a perfect color for an Army vet giveaway. It is, isn't it? All right. Yes, if you're watching the video, which I'm assuming if you can hear my voice, you're watching this video, be sure and click the little gear icon and verify you're watching it in 1080 resolution. Windows will change it and you won't even know. Not because you did anything, just something you can thank YouTube for. So be sure, you may not realize you're watching in a lower res. If your bandwidth will support 1080, the video looks way better in 1080. Okay, so let's do our first setup here. Let me go full screen so I can seize it the way you guys see it. Okay. English US, yes. United States, yes. Keyboard layout, United States, yes. Secondary language keyboard, no, skip. License agreement, accept. Oh, look at this. It's not forcing us to get on the network. User, enter, enter. Nice, no bypass NRO needed. Keep location on, turn everything else off. Keep our date and time always synchronized at all times, and even after daylight saving time or just the normal loss of seconds or gain of seconds that occurs, because no clock is perfect unless it's like the atomic clock or something. So anyway, I like to keep location settings on. Those of you who are regular here already know all this. Paul O'Brien says, hello, Daddy. I want a DNA test. Jason Wyrick said, did I miss anything? Nah, just me talking. Nev Wells is a rare live stream catch for me. I do respect the community focus with so much nasty stuff on the internet. It's a breath of fresh air. Long may it continue. Thank you, Nev. Agreed. I think we can turn Nev blue, don't you? Do you think it's time? As soon as I start to recognize your name, so in other words, you participated in the chat often enough that I'm starting to see your name. Like if you keep changing your name, then you're not helping yourself. And then also, I'm also verifying whether or not the things you have to say, are they positive? Are they all about you, or are they about the community? Are they beneficial to the community, or are we just talking about you? Just things like that. Are they nasty? Is it spam? Is it promotional? Is it look at me, I want attention? And as long as you're just a regular old nice person, and we get to see you in the chat on a regular basis, somewhat regular, I turn you blue, just as I've done here. It doesn't cost anything. That helps me identify in the future if I forget your name and I'm like, that name before. If you're blue, obviously I've already given you my seal of approval. Let's see what's going on now over here at, oh, we did finish booting. Good, good, good. So now I'm going to grab my internet cable. I'm going to plug that here in the back. And then I'm going to go full screen over here on my side of things. So I want to see it the way you guys can see it. Got to appreciate the irony that you guys can see the video better than I can. And what I want to do here is I want to check the device manager. Right click on the start button, device manager. And I'm curious what kind of Ethernet adapter we've got in this bad boy. And it appears to be a Realtek gigabit Ethernet controller and Realtek wireless LAN 802.11ac. That's Wi-Fi 5. That's soldered in. And then there's our Bluetooth 4.2. That's a part of this device below it. Okay, is there anything else I want to look at? We want to make sure that we have a security component in here. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We should have a security component for our TPM device for Windows 11 compatibility. I do not see it. Oh no. Let's take a look here under properties. And we've got an Intel Core i3 1000 NG4. There's our 12 gigs of RAM. 11.7 gigs is available because 0.3 gigs is used for our integrated GPU. We are running 22H2. I'm happy to see that. But I am concerned that I don't see a TPM module. So let's try something here. Let's do a check this. Start without your data here. Uncheck that. Close this out and reopen again so I don't get all that junk. All right. Windows 11 health check, I guess. How to use the PC health check app. Where do I download? If you don't have it, you can install it by going here. Okay. So we're going to download that and we'll install it. That. Install. It's a small little application you can download from Microsoft to verify that your computer is Windows 11 compliant. That's what I'm looking at. It doesn't appear to be. Tried to install this twice. Silly me. All right, so here's what it looks like. I need to change my resolution here on the tablet. It always puts me at 144p. It's maddening. Go to quality, go to advanced, choose 1080p, and then all of a sudden my picture is super vivid. Attention required. Windows update, attention required. Check now. This PC doesn't currently meet Windows 11 system requirements. TPM 2.0 must be supported. Okay, this is unacceptable. So the question now is, do we have TPM and it's simply not enabled in the BIOS? Or is that the reason why BMAX is selling this cheap when they wanted to slip it by us? They should not have been able to install Windows 11, so BMAX had to force Windows 11 on this. And if this is the way BMAX is going to operate their business, then we don't want to do business with them when we do not want to recommend any of their products. I'm not there yet, but I'm just warning you. If they've done that dirty dog thing of trying to hide the Windows 11 lack of compatibility, that is not acceptable. No reputable company would ever do that. That would say a lot about the management style of this company. So I don't want to come to that conclusion yet. Maybe it's a simple mistake that somebody didn't turn it on. An Intel i3 1000 NG4. It's 2 cores with 4 threads. Oh, we got a lot of options in here. Trusted computing. Security device support is enabled. Well, this doesn't look good. Going through the BIOS. Nothing there. Paul O'Brien contributes €2 in Super Chat. Says, to all my fave uncles and cousins, give me my money. All right. Let's see. This is CPU related settings, CPU power management settings. There are power limit settings that we can increase. It looks like this is at 35 watts. PTT. Okay, that's interesting. DTPM or PTT, busted a platform trusted. Don't know. Platform trust technology. So those are usually there's two places you go in. So that's the other place I was looking for. Everything else, the only other thing I would ask is if we look again at what that processor is. i3 1000 NG4. Okay, i3 1000 NG4. Let me see. Windows 11 compatible CPUs, Intel. And the first link will give us a Microsoft website here to show us all the Intel compatible CPUs. So let me go to my window capture. Let's do that. This is an Intel i3, Core i3 1000. Say it was a G1? I can't remember. Back, take another. (1000) NG4. 1000 says G4 right here. I think that's it. Is i3 1000 NG4 Windows 11 compatible? This chip was launched in the second quarter of 2020. It's an entry-level laptop CPU. 1.1 gigahertz with a boost of 3.2. No, that doesn't help us too much. Okay. Go back over to the HDMI input. Let's save what we've changed. Ah. Let that reboot. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Daryl Cockerham said, Carrie, I was poking around on B&H the other day and found the OYN 8 terabyte drive for $759. So it sure would be nice if my viewers would look at my videos, you know, because I've already covered that. If we look at, well, let's do this. Let's go back to full screen over here for me, and I'll just show you. If you go to YouTube, of all places, oh, this has Chrome. They put Chrome on here, and they put those desktop icons on here. Okay, well, there's something suspicious going on with how they've installed this OS. Let's go to, what's that? Edge. We'll go to YouTube, and we'll type in Barry Holzman. And we'll click on the channel here. And we'll look under videos. So 5 days ago, I posted a video about the OYN Digital 8 terabyte drive, $759. So anyway, just so you guys know, a lot of the information that you guys are sharing with me, I've already posted. I can't tell you how many times this happens. You guys are like, oh, I want to tell Kerry this. He needs to know, without realizing I've already discussed. Not only do I already know, I already made a video on it. So maybe just don't. If I don't know, then let's leave it that way, because the amount of times I have to tell people, I appreciate the effort, but we've already covered this. It's very repetitive, and I don't know. I understand your intent is there to help, but I went out of my way to make sure everybody knew about that. Apparently I wasn't successful. Garfield Rupe said, I've never built a computer, but I've been watching you long enough to know when to say something is off technically. And it certainly is. That is very, very odd. Davis Parsons said, I missed his super chat. Oh, fix that. My apologies, Davis. Let me take a look and see if I've missed anybody else. Davis Parsons with a $10 super chat said, I'm late. Been to a doctor's appointment. Here's my late fee. Thank you, Davis. Sorry, I missed that one, but thanks for letting me know. All right, let me go back to OBS. That's what I want. Okay, so this is tricky. What we have here is a Windows 10 computer. That's what it appears to be. And the problem when you force Windows 11 onto it is that Microsoft has stated time and time again that if your computer does not meet Windows 11 requirements and you still put Windows 11 on it, you are not entitled to updates. Now, that leads to a bunch of boneheads going, oh, I'm getting my updates. Yes. What did I just say? You said I'm not entitled to updates, but I'm getting them. That's right. You're not entitled to them. Yeah, but I'm getting them. Like they can't seem to get past the point of today. I'm talking about tomorrow. I'm talking about next month. I'm talking about a year from now. Microsoft may decide, it is within their rights, to withhold updates at a future point in time for any computers running Windows 11 that do not meet Windows 11 compatibility requirements. So just because you're getting updates today, it'd be very, very naive of you to think that because it's doing that today, it's going to continue doing that indefinitely. That, well, it works, so therefore it's going to always work. Doesn't work. Microsoft has made it very clear. They reserve the right to turn off updates at any point for Windows 11 computers that don't meet Windows 11 compatibility requirements. And when it happens, you may not realize it. It may take you a while to realize you haven't gotten any updates in a while. And the way you find out might be because you got infected and you're going to wonder how it happened, or maybe your data got encrypted, or maybe your identity got stolen, and you're going to work backwards and you're going to say, well, it says this was fixed in a patch. I don't have the patch. Why don't I have the patch? Oh, that's that thing Kerry said months ago, weeks ago, years ago, warned us that this day was likely going to come. And I said, you're a bonehead. You don't know what you're talking about. It works fine. You think I've been through this a few times with people? I mean, going back from previous operating systems and people that wouldn't let go of XP. It's the same thing. People are just being boneheads. Look, if you want to do that, knock yourself out. And I'm glad you're getting your updates, okay? But for a manufacturer to sell a PC advertised as having Windows 11 implies that that's a Windows 11 compatible computer. And apparently it isn't. So when an individual wants to act like a bonehead, that's their freedom. When a manufacturer is deceiving the public with misleading or omitting critical information regarding Windows 11 compatibility in order to create the illusion of a higher valued product, that's an unacceptable business practice. That's shameful and disgraceful. Now, is that what's happening here? It's certainly what it appears to be. However, I do want to make sure that it's just not a setting in the BIOS we have to adjust. Windows Update. No, I don't want Windows Update. I want Device Manager. Device Manager. We should see a security device in here, and we do not have a security device. That means there's no TPM. And with no TPM, what you've got is a Windows 10 computer. So how do you unload your inventory of Windows 10 computers if everybody wants Windows 11? You force a Windows 11 upgrade onto it, or create a Windows 11 image that bypasses the security check. It's disgraceful. Now, I will reach out to the folks at BMAX and confirm whether or not this has a TPM or a BIOS update that enables a TPM. But until such time, I am recommending that if you're going to buy this machine, do not run Windows 11 on it. Only use Linux or Windows 10 on this machine. If you decide to put Windows 11 on it, know that updates may stop at any point during your using Windows 11. And if that should happen, there's nobody for you to complain to who's going to do anything to assist you or compensate you. You did that to yourself. Now, with the one exception being that if you bought this machine from BMAX or any other manufacturer, like we had that machine from Chewy that was running Windows 11 that had no TPM. Remember when I said there's a lot of these manufacturers coming out of the woodwork. There's like a gold rush for mini PCs, and they're all not reputable and they're all not honest. And in doing these reviews, what I'm trying to do is weed them out and give you guys a heads up so you're prepared. Some units may cost more, but it may be because they're legit. Other units may cost less because they're not legit, that they're trying to sneak something by you. I don't have 100%, I'm not 100% certain that it's just not a mistake, but I'm certainly leaning that mistakes like this shouldn't be possible with a system integrator that knows exactly what they're doing, okay? It's unacceptable. BMAX sent me the computer to review. So I'm personally offended that they thought they could pull one off and that I would be an accomplice in this deception, which I refuse to be. And if this is how B-Link is going to disrespect us, then we won't showcase any other B-Link product ever again. And so when people ask me, what do you think of BMAX? I will point them to this video. Arvale says, Bing search said the Intel 1000 NG4 does include a TPM function. CPU has a TDP of 9 watts and comes with an Intel AES new instructions and secure key. I would hope that there's a BIOS setting somewhere or a BIOS update that addresses this. A CPU made in 2020 should have a built-in TPM module. William Lynn suggests I search for security processor and see TPM. Let's take a look at that. Thank you, William. Let me go over here to full screen mode for me. Security processor. Shows nothing. Yeah, that shows there is no trusted platform module seen. That's typically because the CPU doesn't have that feature or the feature's not enabled in the BIOS. Once again, I'm going to go back over here and restart this computer and get back into that BIOS one more time. Nick Poverman said you should see the craziness on eBay. People are selling computers that are not compatible with Windows 11 and selling them with Windows 11 on them. Yes, I expect somebody sitting at home to behave in that way. They're not professionals. They're just trying to earn a buck, and they'll deceive and manipulate other people in order to earn $1. Want to professional company behaves like that, it is absolutely unacceptable. So I want to look in here one more time. Integrated Thunderbolt support. I have a suspicion that that ain't going to work, but I'm going to turn it on. I'm wondering if this BIOS wasn't even intended for this board. Where's Jamie McGregor when I need him? Can't remember. Was it under here? PTT config. PTT not applicable. That is going to be a problem. Well, we have the ability to disable the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. If you wanted to put an upgraded Wi-Fi or Bluetooth adapter via USB, and you didn't want to confuse yourself by having two Wi-Fi adapters and two Bluetooth adapters, you could come into the BIOS and disable that one that's soldered down at the very least. So that's good. Better if it wasn't soldered down. Where was the other area for the... I know it was in here somewhere. Trusted computing. Security device support enabled. No security device found. See, that suggests to me the CPU does not have a TPM module, or this BIOS is not the right BIOS for this system. Save and exit. You know what? Let's do this. Let's load restore defaults. Let's save these changes and exit. Yeah. Well, I think what we got here is an attempt to deceive the public. So I'm going to confirm with BMAX what I believe to be true and give them an opportunity to correct me if I'm wrong. And if I'm not wrong, this will be the last BMAX product you see on the channel. Starshine says, How to Geek has an article, TPM could be disabled. Oh, it's tpm.msc. Yeah, we got a problem. This is a very serious problem, one that should not be taken lightly, because we're talking about people's identity. We're talking about your credit, the money in your bank account, all of that potentially at risk because this company has either made a gross error or has done so intentionally to offload undesirable merchandise. Oh, that is very upsetting. I would put Windows 10 on this. I'm very curious what the speed or the performance of the NVMe drive is. I don't expect it to be mind-blowing, but well, we have the machine out and up on the desktop here. Grab my Crystal Disk Mark. Crystal Disk Mark Portable, drag that out to the desktop. Going to eject. Okay. I'm going to go over here to Crystal Disk Mark Portable, 64-bit. Yes. Run all the tests on the C drive and see what kind of performance numbers we get out of it. William Lynn said, did BMAX say the B6 was Windows 11 ready? It ships with Windows 11 Pro, William. You don't get a choice of having Windows 10. If it ships with Windows 11 Pro, it's advertised with Windows 11 Pro, but it is not compatible with Windows 11 Pro. That is the deception. Performance on this NVMe is decent at a Gen 3 drive running at just under 2,500 megabytes per second on sequential reads. That's fair for this level of PC. Hey, camera girl, would you do me a favor and send an email to our contact at BMAX and verify the B6 Plus that ships with Windows 11 Pro is in fact Windows 11 compatible, because the computer says it's not Windows 11 compatible.
Okay.
And that it does not have a TPM. And what do we have to do to turn the TPM on or to activate the TPM? I don't want to imply anything yet.
Right.
If they come back and say there's no way to turn TPM on, then they're deceiving the public and they're offloading what is essentially a Windows 10 computer disguised as a Windows 11 computer in order to offload old inventory. So thank you. All right, so I got camera girl going to work on that. Be sure and get your cape. I can't see any reason why you couldn't just throw Windows 10 on here, to be honest, and it would be fine, at least until the end of 2025. You could probably also put Ubuntu on there if you wanted to play around with Linux. Or if you're one of those people that don't care about having your identity stolen and you want to bypass all the compatibility checks that are put there for your safety, you know, you might be somebody who doesn't wear a seatbelt. You might be somebody who, you know, when equipment is offered to help keep you protected, you don't use it. You might be somebody who goes out on a boat, doesn't even bring a life vest with you. You know, if that's you, don't let me get in your way of killing yourself or having bad things happen. That's your choice, your freedom, your life. You want to throw it away, throw it away. If you want to risk it over something so stupid, be my guest. Is your identity that worthless to you? You don't care? It's worth saving a few extra dollars? You have every right to come to that conclusion and feel so little of yourself if that's what you want to do. But for the rest of us, I would avoid this BMAX. Not even this model. I would avoid BMAX entirely until we have a clear answer on this. There are too many other brands, very competitive price points, that there's nothing compelling about this BMAX to make it worth the risk you're taking by running Windows 11 on it and having it connected to the internet and then using that to pay bills or to buy things online. Yeah, that is a shame. Very, very disappointed with BMAX right now. And if I'd have thought for 1 minute that BMAX was a company like this, we wouldn't be isolating a couple hours out of the day specifically dedicated to evaluating their product. This isn't the kind of reviews I want to do. Bull142 says, Carrie, check your email. Okay. V Manor says, I saw a YouTube video about how to enable TPM and secure boot out of BMAX. Oh, okay. Well, let's see what that video says. They go into trusted computing, security device support disabled, no security device found. Okay, so they changed that to enabled. We already did that. What else do they do? Whoa, secure boot. Okay. Oh, we didn't turn secure boot on, did we? In secure boot mode, they set to standard. Okay, let me pause that video. It still shouldn't have shipped this way. It's unacceptable. The customer buying a PC at this level likely doesn't have the technical knowledge. This should have been done from the factory. But if it makes it work, then we're going to call it a mistake in configuration. So let's see. There's our final numbers. So 2491 on the sequential writes, 2491 megabytes per second on the sequential reads, 1953 megabytes per second on the sequential writes. Let me go full screen here real quick and get back in the BIOS, and then I'll check my email. So back over here, close this, put this down, start. Jeff H. sends a $25 Amazon gift card. He said, here's a little something for all the help with my new NAS, my new Synology. Well, thank you, Jeff H., for the Amazon gift card. Pressing delete, trying to get in the BIOS. There we go. And then Bull142 sent an Amazon gift card for $10. Right on. Thank you, Bull142. Luke Greenia sends $25 via PayPal. And our good friend Kelly Stewart with a $25 Amazon gift card. Thank you to Kelly Stewart. Thank you, Bull142. Thank you, Jeff H. Thank you, Luke Greenia. You guys rock. Okay, now let's go to boot. Under security, secure, where's secure boot? Security. Secure boot. That could be a problem. Let's enable secure boot. What does that say? Secure boot can be enabled when systems in user mode. Repeat after rolling platform key. Okay, secure boot mode, standard. It's not doing anything at all. Oh, hello. And something. Back in the BIOS again. Okay. For security, under secure boot, change this to enabled. And escape and save and exit. Okay, let's see what this does. Brand new computer. This should have been properly configured by the manufacturer before being sent out to a customer. So if it solves it, we'll chalk it up as a mistake. But if it doesn't solve it, well, the inquiry to BMAX will hopefully lead us to an acceptable resolution. Yeah, it says a TPM cannot be found. Let's go back in the device manager. No security device, no security processors in here. Okay, let me go back into the BIOS one more time. I haven't watched this whole video. I stopped it there thinking that was the missing piece. There may be more missing pieces. I'm only a third of the way through the video. So I want to just go back in this video and see that so security, so under trusted computing, let's go back under trusted computing, which was where? Trusted computing. We set this to enabled, even though it says no security. Let's see what else he does. So then under security, he goes to secure boot, changes it to enabled, changes the boot mode to standard. Then he goes to this goes to save changes and exit. Yeah. Huh. Well, we are not having as much luck. Now, I don't know what this block SID is. I would think we'd want that enabled. That option doesn't appear on his screen. It's BMAX B2. And then platform settings. Trusted compute. Oh, that's not what I want. Only other thing is the TPM setting was at. I keep forgetting where I found it. It's a very strange BIOS. It just doesn't feel like this BIOS belongs on this board, or it's like a one size fits all BIOS. There's a lot of features this BIOS is offering the board doesn't have. I mean, a lot. Digital TPM. I think that's, no, that's PTT. Or does it mean discrete TPM? Should be PTT. For some reason, it was set to discrete. We set it back just to try it. Where am I? Advanced, under the PCH-FW configuration. Okay, so I got to remember. Save changes and exit. Oops. Dark Umbre says, according to Bing AI, the i3 1000NG4 does not have a dedicated TPM. Paul O'Brien said that's a lot of crap in that BIOS. There is a lot. So let's see, click under on the start menu and go to device manager. There is no security device, no security processor found. One more time into the BIOS, we'll change that other setting back to PTT, Platform Trust Technology. That's it. So if it's not going to find it, I would conclude that there isn't one there, but we will confirm this with BMAX. In the meantime, I would strongly recommend you avoid any BMAX products that are advertised as being, including Windows 11, because you might end up with a machine like this. And if they're a manufacturer who behaves that way, then, what else will they be seeing as fair play? Because I disagree. I don't think it's fair play at all. Right click, back over to device manager. And there is no security processor here. We'll scan it just to make sure we're not missing any devices. Nope, 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 nope. It certainly appears that this chip does not have a TPM module on it, which is weird because I thought all the modern Intel chips had them, but I guess maybe on the really low end chips, they remove it just to keep the price down. I don't know. No idea. So with that, let me go back over to camera one full screen. Does anybody have any questions for me? I think that's going to wrap up the review. I will do a follow-up when I hear back from BMAX. And then if you never see another BMAX product on this channel, then you can come to your own conclusion about what happened. You know, if you missed the follow-up video. But I will follow up about it. Not happy. SargeTech provides a link to a website for the BMAX Mini PC. Okay. Dog said, block SID authentication prevents malicious actors from taking ownership of drives and blocks others from using the drives. All right, so not related to the TPM situation. Jason Wyrick said Ace Magician seemed pretty reputable. I would say every single mini PC we've reviewed is reputable. Some of them have questionable business practices. Chewy is one that comes to mind. And now I'm starting to have my doubts on BMAX. So those are the only two so far that we've reviewed here that I would be very cautious of or would stay away from. Shadow Dash Media wants to know, would it be possible to get away with one HDMI capture card by using an HDMI switch between gaming consoles? If you use an HDMI switch, there's a delay. So it's when I switch with OBS and using a capture card, I can instantaneously have the next screen up. When you use an HDMI switch, it's intended to share a, if we're talking about like an HDMI switcher that would go on a TV, that it's intended to give you multiple inputs to select from. And so when you make a selection, the screen will blank out. The circuit then initiates the next port, if you will, what the button press takes you to the next port, activates that port, and then the screen comes back. So if you don't mind having your screen go black for a second or two before you see your other input, then you could make that work. But I think your viewers are going to find that very, very annoying. Greg M says Intel shows that this CPU is lacking some security options per their spec page. Interesting. Arnold Arbor wants to know when we're going to review that managed gigabit Cisco switch. Things have been so busy, it's been sitting in the other room, and Camera Girl's already configured it. Now what I need to do is more or less wipe it, reset it, and then have her do it again, but live on camera. It may be a few weeks yet. Just trying to get caught up with our backlog. We have some storage devices from a new company called MoveSpeed. We have a new build coming up. We have another Ace Magician mini PC to review. I have some ingenious wireless networking products to go over. I have a giveaway from Silverstone coming up. And I have more PCs to give away coming up. And I have a follow-up on the Allseye cooler once I have time to get that fans reversed and everything addressed. Changed out the, I have not yet changed out the standoffs that go on the CPU to the water block. So all that work remains to be done before I can even think about making the follow-up video to that. So we got a lot on the table. So right now, to answer your question, it is to be decided. Don't know yet. Dustin wants to know, should Windows 10 users with Windows 11 compatible PCs go ahead and upgrade or wait for the end of service? Well, I mean, it's like saying for those of us that have finished dinner, should we have dessert or should we skip dessert? At the end of the day, that's for each individual to decide on their own. When it comes to running a business, I would advise my business clients to stay away from Windows 11 for the time being, unless they have a specific purpose for it. If there's something that Windows 11 is going to do for you that you cannot do in Windows 10, then obviously I think you should upgrade to it. But if you don't have a reason, if you can't tell me why, I would leave it alone. But if you're the kind of person that says, hey, I know Windows 11 isn't going away and I might as well start getting used to it now rather than later, maybe it's your job to support it, you have to come up with your own reason why you should install it. And if you can't, then the answer is no, you shouldn't. At least not until you have to. Then again, you would have a reason. So when we're in the year 2025, and likely somewhere around the spring, you'll have 6 months left of Windows 10 at that point, which is plenty of time for you to install Windows 11 or potentially Windows 12. There's some rumor that there's a Windows 12 in development, and many people could leapfrog right over Windows 11, go straight from 10 to 12, if that's true. If it is true, then it'll follow the pattern that I have followed and that many people have followed, where every other operating system is crap from Microsoft. So, people liked Windows 98 Second Edition, but they hated Windows Millennium, but they loved XP, but they hated Vista, but they loved 7, but they hated 8, but they loved 10, but they hate 11. And Microsoft has said, and they keep going back on their word, but they keep saying we want a new operating system every 3 years. So it does fit within that requirement that a Windows 12 operating system would come out, and that you could leapfrog right over Windows 11 altogether. Andy Kane wants to know, would a BIOS update help? Well, that's a good question to ask the folks at BMAX. If that CPU does not have a TPM module in it, then there's no BIOS update in the world that's going to put a TPS, it's going to manifest a TPM module on your chip. On the other hand, if the chip does have a TPM module and it's simply the BIOS isn't acknowledging it or activating it properly, then the answer to your question would be yes. But the people who know that would be the engineers. AJ Haverkamp said Windows 11 runs great in many of my devices. It's the future. Get used to it. Well, it's also the past, as I mentioned. And I'm not implying that Windows 11 won't run well. What I'm saying is that it takes time to install it. It will take time to get used to where Microsoft moves things around. And so you're going to have trouble finding things. After a while, you get used to it. If you want to put yourself through that for no advantage whatsoever, once again, you'll notice nobody in the chat room has given a valid reason to install Windows 11. You're running Windows 10 now and you're not having any problems. What advantage would there be for you to go through the hassle of doing the upgrade and then learning where Microsoft has moved everything? What will you now be able to do that you were not able to do before? Other than you're just bored and you're looking for something to do. And if that's the case, that's fine, but let's be honest about why you're doing it. As a professional computer repair technician, I would be out of a job if I did that to an employer. The employers need to understand return on investment for any, pretty much for anything business related, but specifically in the IT department, we are held accountable for the security and for the budget of the IT department, along with the training of the employees and the compatibility of the hardware and software the company uses. So yes, when you go on YouTube, you can find a bunch of boneheads who have no thought or consideration of anybody outside of their own little bubble. And that's all well and good. If you want to be in your bubble and your two bubbles align, have fun. But if you want to look at this from a practical and professional manner, we have to be able to identify and justify a return on investment for both the time the IT department would need to upgrade the machines, any compatibility issues, the time and investment that goes into research, testing before full deployment, and then the retraining of the employees so that they can identify where they need to navigate to get their job done, which costs in a lack of production. So for a while, the company's production is going to go down and the cost for IT is going to go up. And when all that is done, what does the company now have that they didn't have before that interruption and expense? And the answer is nothing. So as long as Windows 10 is supported, unless somebody can name a very specific reason to upgrade Windows 11, then they wouldn't need to come in here in the chat room and ask if they should upgrade to Windows 11. They would already know their own answer. So you can understand that what each individual decides is entirely up to the individual. And it's not something you'd ask a YouTube person, or it really you wouldn't ask anybody, should I upgrade to Windows 11? If you can't answer that on your own, you've already answered it. David Martinez says he searched BMAX B6 Plus mini PC and Google says the TPM compatibility is crossed out and says missing. Well, again, we will hear directly from BMAX. I'm not interested in search results. I'm not interested in what somebody online is saying. That all that information is noise. It's not useful. We have to determine if the information we're seeing online is accurate. And the only way we can assure accuracy is to go straight to the source. And that is the only acceptable answer for me, is what the source says. I don't care what anybody else says, because you're just guessing. Or you're believing the accuracy of what you're reading. You're gauging that in your own mind, whether or not it's worth believing. So I want to hear from the manufacturer. And then that is the information I will know is true and valid. Brad Rebel says, hello. Hey, thanks for joining us, Brad. William Lynn said, the letter N in the naming convention of the CPU is not a Windows 11 compatible CPU, according to Microsoft. DD says, just for the heck of it, try a BIOS update. Okay, DD. Provide me a link to the BIOS. If you can find me a BIOS for this, I'll update it. Don't hold your breath. Good luck to you. Also, you should just go to the bank and pull out $400 from your checking account. What makes you think I have $400 in my checking account? What makes you think there's a BIOS available as an option to even consider updating? Marvin Jameson says hello. He says, Carrie, check your text messages. Oh, okay. Let's take a look. Marvin Jameson says, hope you enjoy this Amazon gift card. I've never had anybody text that. And Marvin sends a $100 Amazon gift card. Well, that's very kind of you, Marvin. Thank you so much. All right. Marvin, thank you. Missing anything else? I think I got it. So I will say thank you to Jeff H. for his Amazon gift card. And I will say thank you to Bull142. You should see like an email that comes from Amazon. And was there another one in here? Oh, Kelly Stewart. Yeah, thank you to Kelly Stewart as well for his Amazon gift card. Send him a thank you. And of course, a thank you out to Buster, Peter Laycock, for his Amazon gift card. Right on, guys. Shadow Dash Media wants to know, what would be more efficient? One HDMI capture card monitor and switch, or one HDMI capture card monitor console? You're going to have to, that's something you have to figure out what works with your workflow. It's not the kind of work I do, and I'm not quite sure what it is you're trying to accomplish or how you're attempting to accomplish it. So you're going to have to just kind of experiment and try things to see what works for you. Or you can talk to a streamer who's doing what it is you're trying to do, because that's not what I do, and see what advice they might have for you. Lawn Dog said, I kind of went down the road of clarifying where the TPM is actually located. Typically, it's on the motherboard as a separate security chip. I'm not aware of it being incorporated in a CPU. In over 30 years in this industry, I have seen an actual TPM module on a motherboard 2 times. TPM modules are a part of the CPU and have been since 8th generation Intel chips and AMD's Ryzen chips. Just as we've integrated video in many CPUs, we've also integrated TPM. I'm sorry you've been left out and nobody told you for the last 5 years, 6 years we've been doing this. But I would use Google and you can get yourself caught up. But sometimes there are like RAID controllers that can be software-based, or something built on the motherboard that's not a hardware-based RAID controller. So the TPM modules built onto CPUs are not discrete. And yeah, I'd say you're a few years behind there, Lawn Dog. I wouldn't take my word for it, I guess is what I'm saying, is I would do the research so you can clarify and verify what I'm saying to you. Wayne Was said, I heard rumors that Windows 10 will not update to the latest 22H in October. I don't think Microsoft is releasing any more big updates for Windows 10. I think they made an announcement about that 6 months ago. Starshine wants to know what the part number is on the bottom. You can't rewind the video to when I held the bottom up to the camera. Jim KJ3N said you can still find motherboards with TPM headers on them. Oh yeah, for sure. I have seen, I can't count the number of TPM headers I've seen. They're always empty. Every build you've ever seen me do since, gosh, I don't know, probably for the last 10 years has a TPM header on it. We just don't use it. Like I said, I've only actually seen a TPM module twice in my life. So, yeah. But I don't know why anybody would want to buy a TPM module when it's already built into your CPU. Greg M said this CPU was used on an Apple MacBook Air 2020 at one point. All right, let me get a cold Gatorade here, and I think we might just be wrapping up, unless you have any other questions for me. We'll need to hear from the folks at BMAX regarding any verifiable information, one way or the other, regarding TPM compatibility with Windows 11. For some reason, I have frozen up here. I think I will close this. That. I see. Like, where's the YouTube window? All right, let's go here, there. See if it loads this time. Just getting a circle. Well, this isn't good. I wonder why it's not loading anymore. I'm going to reboot my tablet. Michael Young wants to know, where's this made? All mini PCs, to the best of my knowledge, are made exclusively in China. I'm not aware of any mini PC made elsewhere. Badging Guy says, Carrie, have you ever reached out to a manufacturer about a problem with their product and they gave a reasonable reply? Oh, countless times, yeah. Most recently with Ace Magician. They were very reasonable with their response. Steve Chappelle says, Carrie, I'd like to see more networking devices in future streams. Like what? What do you mean by networking? What's a networking device? Cameras, switches, routers, access points, mesh routers, network cards, Wi-Fi cards. Huh, this thing does not want to load. That is weird. Doing that. Oh. So there's two internet connections in Studio B, and it appears that my lightweight internet connection is down right now, but the other internet connection we're using for streaming is unaffected. That is very interesting. With the new TP-Link router, I just have to look over and it's got a big exclamation point. That tells me it's not getting any communication from the cable modem. So I'm trying to see the lights on the cable modem to see what their status is, but the studio lights are so bright, it's reflecting and I can't really see it. It's not really that important, but it certainly explains this issue I'm having over here. So there is an internet outage. It's just very strange because the two internet connections are from the same provider. So it's weird that one would be down and the other one is just fine. Let me take a look. Steve Chappelle says routers. Hey, Steve, you know, we did about 8 months of router reviews here about this time last year. And if you type into YouTube, if you go Carrie Holzman as one word, space, router, I think you're going to find 3 dozen videos on different routers. We went through a lot of routers, testing out Wi-Fi 6 versus 6E, and showcasing how you can save money by buying items, routers that were returned. This is interesting because my cable modem looks like it's happy. So let's see. Unplug the cable modem. Get back in, see if it doesn't reset itself and get us back online on that secondary slower internet connection. Very strange. Very, very strange. Okay. Nothing like dealing with that during a live show, right? Matt Power wants to know, is DSL still used? It absolutely is. Yes. Michael Young said, do some mesh router reviews. Again, already been there, done that. If we go over here to asking me to make content I've already made is a little maddening for me, right? Because my thought is, if you didn't watch it the first time I made it, why should I be bothered? But if you take a look, let's go over to my screen share. Let's type in Gary Holzman router. There's a bunch of videos that I have made. Routers, bridges, access points. Lots and lots of them, folks. Even an interview with JJ from ASUS, talking for an hour and a half about a bunch of their routers and things to look for. Yeah, lots and lots and lots. Have you guys seen any of these videos? I'm confused. All right, I'm just confused. All right, let's go back over to camera one. Keep wanting to look over here. Still have no connection over there. Michael Young says latest model. Already done that. Yeah. All right. So I'm just not going to acknowledge that person's questions anymore because I'm just repeating myself now. The Wi-Fi router I'm using here is a Wi-Fi 7 router. There's not even Wi-Fi 7 adapter cards out, so I don't know how you could want anything newer than that. But there you go. Lawn Dog said, Carrie, I did my CPU TPM research, and as I was reading, memories started to come back. Thanks for the refresher course. I must have been having a senior moment. I do qualify for discounts. It's all good. It's all good. John Williams said, I really liked your live stream with JJ from ASUS. Thanks, John. I really enjoy talking with AJ. He's a bright guy. Steve Chappelle said, I've watched a lot of your router videos, Carrie. I'm a big fan of TP-Link routers. Well, I don't think there's any new TP-Link routers we haven't reviewed. So, well, I appreciate the suggestion. I can't review things that don't yet exist. I don't know how to answer you. If there's a specific product you're interested in, it may be possible, but I need more than one person that's interested in seeing it for me to go through all the trouble. But in general, you know, we're doing sort of a bunch of mini PCs at this point. Just as when we did the routers, we did a bunch of those. And then we moved on to mini PCs, and then we'll do a bunch of these, and then we'll move on to something else, and things will just kind of come and go in fads, likely. And we touch on routers as they become available. They don't have any really new routers to review at this point, as far as I can tell. We've already done them. Gary Tatum said, my brother just bought a TP-Link router yesterday and it works great. Scott says, got an ASUS. Daniel Emberley says, ever look at Synology's replication and snapshots? Yes, I'm familiar with them. I do not use them. Any other questions? Michael Young says, combo gateways. I don't recommend combo gateways, so I don't review them. Strongly advise people stay away from them. I certainly don't want to mix that message by reviewing products I don't recommend. Like I said, if I had known that this wasn't Windows 11 compatible, I would not have reviewed it. I would rather not review a product if I think it's going to be something I don't approve of, something I would not recommend to a real customer in my real business. So if it can't pass that litmus test, I generally don't want to make the review if I already know it's going to be negative. In this case, I didn't know. It certainly cautions me with any dealings with any company that does this. So again, it could be just a mistake. I don't want to get too conclusive about it. But the fact that we're even here to begin with in this situation, that's a pretty tough pill to swallow. These companies should know better. Mistakes like this shouldn't be possible if it's a mistake. Otherwise, it's intentional. And, you know, like I said, if I would have known that going into it, when they offered to send it, I would have said, keep it. Jeff H says, Carrie, did you check your email? I did, Jeff, and thank you again for the Amazon gift card. Have I heard any news from eBay about that scam artist? No, everything will go through PayPal now, and I'm waiting to hear back from PayPal, and I have not heard anything back yet. But we'll give them a couple days to do their investigation. Thomas Mac T says, did you give away the NAS unit already? That unit is not being, what makes you think that unit was going to be given away? You know something I don't? I'm confused. Carrie, do you still plan on doing Life 101 videos? It may be the type of video I make when I don't have any more technical work or I don't have as much technical work to do, so I can study or talk more about perspectives and attitudes about philosophy and life and how we approach challenges, obstacles, and how the role of your attitude plays a big part in whether or not you're a happy or sad person. You sort of can create your own misery, and misery is very toxic and it's very, very contagious. So that's why I say if there's a product I don't like, I don't want to make a video on it. I don't want to, be outraged. Our time here on the planet is very, very short. And it's up to you to decide if the quality of that time. So if you're angry all the time, if you're constantly feeling like you're being attacked or somebody's trying to swindle you, that's a tough way to go through life, but it's a choice you're making. And so in the Life 101 series over on the Life 101 channel, I want to explore how life is mostly 10% what happens to you and 90% how you voluntarily choose to respond to it. You don't have to allow other people to manipulate your mood. You don't have to give them the power to make you upset. That's a choice you make. You don't have to get angry. That's a choice you're making. You don't have to react in a negative way based on what somebody else says or does. That's a choice you're making. You can make different choices and you can choose to be upset, or you can choose to be happy, or you can choose to let other people manipulate you and decide whether or not what your mood's going to be, good or bad. If you want to let other people have that power over you, it's your choice. So yeah, I do want to go and explore more of that philosophy and that logic. But right now I've got too much work to do, and that pays the bills. The Life 101 videos don't. They're just there as an exercise in bouncing ideas and perspectives to an audience to see if there's a flaw in it. So I really do those videos for myself. And I hope that if somebody watches it and they get what I'm doing and they can appreciate it, that's great, but it's optional. It's not really why they're made. Scott says, time to go to Michigan is getting closer, bet you can't wait. May not be going in the fall as expected. The economy and the revenue at YouTube and everything else that's happening, the situation here at Studio B may be coming to a closure, and I have to be ready. So can't spend money when I don't know the outcome of what's about to happen. On the other hand, it may be more of the same. Maybe nothing happens at all. Don't know yet, but it makes me very nervous. So I'm procrastinating this year's trip to Michigan. Maybe I'll go in the winter. Maybe I'll go in the spring, spend a different time of year out there. But for right now, I am postponing it. Rip City Raider's been a member now for 5 months. He says, nice show as always, Carrie. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Rip City Raider. Lawn Dog says, to Greg, according to Intel, the i3 processor that we've got on this machine has no trusted platform technology. Does that kind of terminate the life of this processor or make it obsolete? So this is a thing that gets under my skin. And if you've been watching this channel, and I know you have, Lawn Dog, you know I get so frustrated when people are so closed-minded that they can't think of anybody else's use case scenarios or needs other than themselves. It's so frustrating to me. It's the world of enthusiasts and hobbyists that exists here on the internet that drives me mad. There are plenty of use case scenarios for Windows alternative operating systems that don't require or have any use for a TPM module. Whether you want to set up a device as something like a Raspberry Pi, or you want to set up your own NAS, or you want to set up your own Linux-based OS, there's lots and lots and lots and lots of reasons for having a machine with no TPM. So I do implore you to consider the needs of others. When it doesn't meet your needs, that doesn't mean it meets nobody's needs. There's a world of 7-8 billion people on this planet. And to think just because you can't see a purpose for it, that the other billions of people and populations also would conclude the same thing, is really not doing yourself any favors. You know the expression, walk a mile in somebody else's shoes. There's a world outside of Windows. Arvale said, Amazon has reviews that say the BMAX B6 Plus mini PC has malware. I haven't seen any evidence of that. It is interesting how people choose to read and trust reviews from people they don't know. Those reviews could be 100% fake. Those reviews could be written by a competitor of BMAX. Why do you trust what you're reading is real? Is it coming from a reviewer who you follow? Again, I find this behavior very odd. People are so quick to not believe a company and not believe an official source, but they'll believe any random stranger on the internet. It's very puzzling. Lou Greenia said, here's a little update. That Musitek's hot dog build you sent me is going strong without issue, as is the Ace Magician CK10. Thank you for all you've done for everyone. Awesome. Well, thanks for the update, Luke. I'm glad to hear those machines are continuing to serve you well. Now, if we look at addressing any malware, and that's an easy enough thing. I can go over to the HDMI input over here, and we can download Malwarebytes. Let me go full screen over here. And let's see if Malwarebytes finds anything. I don't see any telltale signs of malware being on the machine, but it's something very easy to check. You have to also bear in mind that the system images that a system integrator uses often get updated, and so they may have had some tainted image that was used for some time before it was corrected, but it would seem unlikely that that would continue unabated. So we'll go ahead and download the free version of Malwarebytes here. And then just go ahead and install it because it is free. And we can put this issue to bed one way or the other. We'll know for sure. Yeah, we'll add browser guard. Why not? So, you know, I want to emphasize facts and not feelings. I'm not really interested in this channel and what we do here about what people feel. I'm more interested in what is verifiable and repeatable with regards to technology to identify if something is a fluke or a flaw versus if something is a bad engineering design for one reason or another. And when it comes to how any individual feels about that, you're entitled to feel however you want. That's not really why I'm here. So, you know, unless somebody has some control or authority in the industry, the feelings are irrelevant. They make no difference in the real world as far as that goes. So I like to spend my time as productively as I can with things that we can impact change or be productive with. I can't think of any of that where feelings are involved. So just want to make sure people are not going to get ripped off. And anytime I do reviews, that people know what to expect so that when they make a decision whether or not they want to buy it, they're making an informed decision that's right just for them. It's not me telling them whether or not they should buy it. It's me giving you the information so that you can make an informed decision. And that decision will be suitable for you and just you and nobody else. It'll be for your reasons. So we're doing a scan right now, and we want to watch this little corner. It says detections 0. Keep your eye over there, and we'll see if you can believe everything you read on the internet. Keeping in mind, Malwarebytes will also find potentially unwanted programs or pups. These are not malware. So if Malwarebytes finds anything, it's likely going to be a potentially unwanted program, which is not dangerous. Matt Power says, did you hear Jay's 2 cents boycotted Ace? Yeah, I don't care. What some hobbyist does on the internet. You know, Jay does some stuff I don't agree with. I would love for Jay to get a job where he is working in the industry, where he's getting paid and held accountable and has the pressures of fixing computers, a certain number of computers every day. But you know, his business model is very different from mine. I don't really follow what he does. Every once in a while, I might see a video, and it's not that I don't like his videos. It's just that the things he does are so impractical in my world. I would never have a client pay me to do anything that he does on his channel for the most part, with a little exception. So he's not really somebody, yeah, he seems like a nice guy. But I'm not going to his channel to learn anything, me personally. And what's going on in his world has no impact on mine, regardless. Okay, this comes up with 0, nothing found. Everything is clean. So there you go. You want to believe what you just saw? Or do you want to believe what somebody on the internet, some rando left some comment on Amazon? Your choice. Thomas MacT says, since it was a small NAS and I'm a one-person household, I would be glad as a member to review it for you. So I'm going to tell you one other thing that gets under my skin, and I'm going to ask you guys to not start a private conversation in a public chat room. Any business that you want to work with me on, you need to send me an email. You need to handle that business privately. You have to understand that this entire discussion starts feeding and planting seeds to other people, and it creates a downward spiral of everybody now wanting to grab something for themselves. So if I haven't offered it, it's not available as a giveaway. If you want to inquire about transaction of any kind, please use my email. Do not engage in a public chat room discussion during a live video over talking about you, unless it's relevant to what we're talking about on the channel. It's just common courtesy. It also keeps the video moving along on topic. There's 300-400 people watching the video, and now it's just you and me talking. It's as though we have given the finger to everybody else watching right now. They could care less that you want a computer. So please, do not email me because you want to talk to me about the news. You can do that in the chat room. If you want to conduct any level of business with me, please do not make that attempt in a public chat room. Handle that privately. I'm not going to mention this again. So if I see people doing this, I'm going to ignore your comment. Jeff Jankowitz said, I'd like to see if the BMAX can run Recall Box for my grandson. I have no idea what that is. And I would recommend, if you're curious, you could order one of these on Amazon, test it out yourself. And if it doesn't work for you, you can send it back to Amazon. You have a 30-day free return policy from Amazon, and you don't even have to have a reason. And then let us know. Nick Poverman said you reviewed a BMAX B7 3 months ago and it was okay. Okay. Long Dog says, Carrie, I should let you know I'm eating my creation of nacho cheese corn chips with extra cheese topped with scorpion pepper powder and other toppings. This could be influencing today's thought process. Sounds spicy. Camera Girl and I are not a fan of the scorpion or reaper peppers. They have a metallic aftertaste. But jalapenos and habaneros and serranos, we're about that all day. But enjoy your nachos. Okay, any last questions that I can address here? I'll do my best to provide an answer, even if that answer is we should be having that discussion privately, or if the answer is to point you to a video I've already made, or if the answer is to provide you with a link, or if the answer is to provide you with my opinion. Dustin said he made one of the famous Holzman gaming pizzas a couple days ago. Those are good. If I don't say so myself, those are good. All right. Well, it looks like I'm not seeing any other questions coming up about this machine. And quite frankly, it really is irrelevant if you want to buy this with Windows 11 on it. It appears to not be Windows 11 compatible, and that's the way I'm going to leave this unless I need to correct what I've said. And I won't know that until I talk with the folks over there at BMAX and confirm it or find out what you have to do to make it work. If there is something you can do to make it work, I will remake a review video on this computer so anyone who buys one can follow my steps. Otherwise, you may not see another BMAX product on this channel again, and this will be the reason why. So I want to thank my friends in blue and everybody with the gold badge next to their name for supporting the channel. And I want to thank everybody who has contributed on top of that. If I can use the right mouse, I will shout out a thank you to these generous folks. And that includes Paul O'Brien, Mark Gaines, Rick Lakes, Gator, Planet Cryos. Oh, I missed that second contribution from Planet Cryos. He says, I'm doing a rewiring work on the front end loader and watching you. It's a Cormantis WA320 with a 3.25 cubic yard bucket. That sounds like some pretty heavy duty construction equipment. Thank you to Davis Parsons. Thank you to Paul O'Brien again, as well as Ben Laird. Ben joins us from Scotland. Paul O'Brien again wants to know where his hug is. Aw. Rip City Raider, thank you for renewing your membership. Your kind words. And for all those Amazon gift cards, let me shout out one more time. A shout out and a thank you to our good friend Buster, Peter Lakecock. Thank you for your continued extreme generosity. Thank you to Sarge Tech for your Amazon gift card, as well as Kelly Stewart, Bull142, and Jeff H. And thank you to Luke Greenia for your PayPal contribution. And thank you to Marvin Jameson for his very generous Amazon gift card. Gary Tatum contributes 20 bucks in Super Chat and says, well, don't leave me out. Thank you, Gary. All right. I guess that'll be it for today. Oh, there's Mats Olaf. That's the first time I've seen him in the chat today. He says, Carrie, I'll be back. Right on. Thanks, guys, for hanging out with us and going through this experience together. And yeah, I've already got, ideally, Camera Girl should have already emailed them. They're on about a 12-hour time difference from us, so they're probably sleeping right now. I won't expect to get a response till tomorrow. Tomorrow, speaking of which, Friday. I always do a live show every single Friday at 1 o'clock Pacific time. I am either going to do an Ace Magician mini PC or best bang for the buck build. Why don't I know? I'm waiting on a motherboard. And if the motherboard shows up today or tomorrow before showtime, I'll do the best bang for the buck build. Otherwise, I'm going to fall back and do the Ace Magician. This is no ordinary Ace Magician. This one's very unique and deserving of a Friday broadcast. So one way or another, these are 2 Friday shows that I have to do. So whichever one I do tomorrow, I'll do the other one next Friday. So I hope you'll join us again, Friday, 1 o'clock Pacific time, every single Friday. If you've got a gold badge next to your name, I hope you'll join us on our members only live video. Those are for members only. It's a much smaller you know, a couple dozen people in the chat room. We get to hang out and relax. And if you want to talk about business to me and that's fine, because that's a private video. All right. So the different rules apply for that reason. Thank you again for watching. Thank you for all your support and your kindness. I will see you all tomorrow, 1 p.m. Pacific time. Until next time, bye for now. I have to find an outro. I didn't have it ready. Okay. Bye for now.